Hey guys, Jeff here. I just wanted to put together a short video that kind of recaps some of the stuff that we talked about just a little while ago in our Zoom meetings. We were talking about Psalm 121, and 121 is a psalm that, if you remember, I called it a pilgrimage psalm. In other words, that it's something that the Israelites would have often sang or said or prayed when they were on their journey from wherever it was they were living to the temple at Jerusalem, so that they could go and pray and give honor to God. And you know what? I think that it's a really interesting psalm because even though it's a really ancient message, I think it's got a modern message for us today too, because we find ourselves on journeys in our life all the time. Now, my journey is nothing like their journey. I don't come from people who were enslaved and then who wandered in the desert for 40 years. And as I pilgrimaged to Jerusalem, I had to wander through the mountains and the narrow straits and the difficulties of that and the dangers of that. I don't have to put up with that. That's not really my journey, right? And it's probably not your journey either, hanging out, driving to, Helena High School in the morning or something like that. That's not really your journey either. But the truth is, we all find ourselves on journeys in our life at different times. And right now, I think we're all on a pretty unique journey in the situation that we're dealing with, not just here in our community, but worldwide. That we find ourselves maybe at times feeling overwhelmed, feeling lost, feeling confused, just feeling tired of it and wanting things to get back to normal. I've talked to a bunch of y'all just sort of one-on-one during this whole thing, and some of you have said, it's been really hard for me to read scripture. It's been really hard for me to get into it. It's been really hard for me to hear God in the midst of this because I just feel so lonely. I just feel like so isolated from everybody else. And I totally get that. But this psalm is such a great reminder that even in the midst of those hard times, God is not far from us. God is there. And it might be hard for us to hear him. It might be hard for us to feel his presence in our life, but he is there with us. And then on the flip side, I've talked to some of you guys and you're like, this has been an incredible time for me. I've spent so much time in worship. I've spent so much time thinking about God and singing about God and praying to God. And I have heard God and he's moving in my life. And I've been able to discern and to understand clearly some of the things that he wants me to do. And to you, I think, say that's awesome. And we want you to share that, not just with me, but with our whole group, so that others can understand how that can work in their life. And as we continue the journey and as we've kind of gone down through this, I've come up here to the church several different times, and I'm up here right now. I'm standing in our youth hallway, and I just want to walk you down it because, I think it's important for us to kind of remember who we are and what this space means to us and how excited we will be when we can come back to it. So I'm here at the end hanging with our boy Jesus, having come right up the stairs, and you can see our whole hallway, right? We know it. And this is pretty much how it is the last day that we met up here. A few things have changed, and I'll point those out. But we have our small group rooms and things like that, where different groups meet. Up here we have our art on our hallway, and we've lost a couple items that have fallen down over the break, but don't worry, we'll put them back up. Our discovery art from last year that I think turned out so awesome, just a reminder about the different things, the different promises specifically that God makes in our life. These are things that every time we walk down this hall, we can see and we can be mindful of. Our high schoolers, you guys meet in here. You see the room's here. It's ready to go. It's just waiting on us. The art room's over there. I'm not going to show you because y'all all know what a ridiculous, mess that place is. We have our game room in here with ping pong table and stuff like that. This is our prayer chapel. And it's kind of a mess because right before we left, I was starting to do some things in here and rearrange. And again, it's right the way I left it. But it's not going to be this way when you come back. It's going to be back and back to normal. It's going to look like a place where we come for prayer. Helena Student Ministry right in here. And there's one big change that has happened. I don't know if you remember, but we didn't have the cleanest youth room floor in the history of time. Okay, it was that sort of ground concrete stuff. Had some Coke stains on it and, now and later is embedded into the concrete. Well, our trusty church maintenance guy, Gennaro, got up here and he completely stripped everything off of this floor for us. And it is incredibly clean, possibly the cleanest that it's ever been. All right. And one of our plans is, when we're able to get some people back up here, we are going to put some images on this floor. We are going to take it and we're going to make it something that when you walk in, you see and you're reminded just of how awesome God is. You're reminded about the things that go on in here, the worship that goes on in here, the discovery that goes on in here, the eating that goes on in here, the worship that happens up here, and the teaching and the speaking and the preaching and the prayer and everything else, and the gathering as we line our couches and our chairs back up, that we are planning to get back into this space. But here is the deal, guys. It's not going to be exactly the same as it was when we left. Just like you and I are not going to be exactly the same as we were when we left. It's because we've been through something. We have been through a journey that at times for many of us has been difficult, a journey for a lot of us at times it's been stressful, it's been tiring, maybe it's had a lot of anxiety, maybe we have just gotten really frustrated at times and acted in ways that we don't normally act. But here's the awesome thing about God, is that He understands our journey, and that He has not left us alone on this journey. He has not left us alone to come back and try to figure it out on our own. That He says that He will be right there with us. So let us put our faith in Him. Let us build our foundation upon God, upon His strength and upon His promises. Let us build it upon His love and upon His hope and upon His joy, so that when we get back together, our youth room might look a little different. Our prayer chapel might look a little better. Maybe our art room will be clean. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But we will not say that this journey didn't teach us anything. We will not say that we did not learn something, that we did not experience something. We will not just simply try to forget everything that's happened, but we will say, yeah, at this time was crazy and it was tough and it was difficult, but wow, let me show you, looking back now, how I can see that God was with me. How He allowed me to connect with you guys over Zoom. How He allowed us to pray together with our church-wide Sunday worship. How He allowed us to see each other's faces, to hear each other's voices, and to not be alone. And that's the great thing about our relationship with God, is that we're not alone. Even on our trek, on our journey, it's not just us. We're not just trying to figure it out every step of the way by ourselves. But we have somebody there with us. Somebody who was willing to die for us. Somebody who loved us so much that He took the nails of the cross and defeated death so that we do not have to suffer. God, we are just so grateful for that. And so let us shout your name, Jesus. Let us sing your praise. And as and when this journey we're on brings us back together, God, we will celebrate, and we will sing, and we will laugh, and we will thank you for not abandoning us.